Welcome to Conspiracy. I'm Sammy,
And I'm Taylor.
and we're here to unpack and analyze the world's best conspiracy theories. So buckle up and let's jump in. Welcome back to the podcast, guys. We are jumping into our third conspiracy theories. How are you doing, Tay?
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
Especially because I have no idea what this podcast
Taylor,
is.
I have not told her what this one is about, so she's just as suspenseful as you people are.
The first couple ones, we definitely let each other in on what are we going to do for our first couple podcasts? But this one has been a complete secret.
With the first couple, I didn't want you to start researching ones that
Yeah.
I was already doing, but I know you haven't started researching the next one, so I felt safe that I could do this.
Very fair point. But
Yeah.
yes, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting, especially because you said it's one that I probably don't know a lot about.
We have not talked about this one, because, when we jumped into this, we started talking about, a lot of conspiracy theories, and I don't ever remember us bringing this one up.
And I have a whole long list of different ones, but
Maybe it's on your list,
It
and
could
you just
be.
haven't
I
talked about it.
Googled a lot of them, so we kind of have a list to go back to if we don't have one of our own.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. So, today, we are actually going to be traveling across the pond over to England.
Okay.
That is where you will find the wonderful British Empire, now run by Prince Charles. However, I'm not really interested in him. Instead, I want to investigate his former wife, Princess Diana.
Yes! I love this! I'm here for it. I love Diana.
She is an icon.
She's amazing. I'm all about this conspiracy theory. I will buy it 100%. Let's go.
Okay. Her untimely death sparked huge controversy with many saying that it was all orchestrated by the British Empire.
Honestly, wouldn't surprise me.
So we're here to unpack her life and death and determine what really killed Princess Diana.
Oh, I am so here for this. I could cry tears of joy. I'm so excited for this.
I feel like not knowing what one you're going to be doing when you come into it almost makes it a little bit better. Because then when you hear it, you're like, oh my gosh.
The first couple we had to just so we were prepared, we knew what we were doing. But that was the suspense was building. We hung out all day today and I just had no idea. I knew you were researching.
Yeah.
But now I'm sitting here and I'm very excited.
I know.
Let's jump in.
All right. First, we're going to get some background about her life. I'm sure you probably already know quite a bit of this, but for people that don't, we'll go into it. Diana was born on July 1st, 1961 in England. She was the daughter of Edward John Spencer, the Viscount Althorp, and Frances Ruth Shand Keed, which was her mother.
Okay.
She was child number 3 of 4 total. Diana had 2 older sisters and 1 younger brother.
I thought she was an only child.
No, she had 3 other siblings.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah, 2 older sisters, 1 younger brother. So
all right.
After the birth of Diana, who was the 3rd daughter that Frances had birthed, Edward decided to send Frances to multiple clinics because he figured that something must be wrong with her because she seemed unable to give birth to a boy.
Okay. So that whole theory bothers me because it's not there are many men in this world that if you can't sire a child that is a male, and especially for firstborn children.
I know. I'm you expect a male to pop out the first time a woman has a baby?
I was just listening to this other podcast it's called Two Hot Takes, and they kind of go through Reddit stories.
Okay.
And they were talking about this one story where this girl, she married a guy. They had dated for 6 years. It was a long time. They got married, and the mother-in-law to the girl was always talking, or she would joke about your first child has to be a boy or it won't be accepted.
That's stupid.
100%.
I don't ever get that. It's when you're watching with Bridgerton or something.
Yes.
I don't think it's ever been broached in Bridgerton. They could really care less if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
But all those old-timey shows where it's well, you have to have a son because who's going to carry on the name, the family name?
And you would have thought that would have died out over time. But this, just this Reddit story just happened within, I think, the last 3 years. Because then I went and read it myself.
Is it normal people or is it famous?
No,
Okay.
Normal people. And she got pregnant. And the mom's well, it better be a boy or otherwise you're not accepted. And the son that was married to this girl seemed oh, whatever it is, I don't care. They went and found out that it was a girl.
Okay.
And the son was happy. The daughter was not the daughter. The son was happy and so was his wife.
Okay.
Super excited. They call the girl's parents. They're excited. They call his parents and the mom's we need to have a private conversation.
Did they make them abort the baby?
No. So the son took over the phone call because the mom insisted that the girl not be there when they were talking about it. He goes in a different room. She eventually goes to bed because she goes, it was getting late. They've been on the phone for over an hour.
Oh my God. As the wife to him, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
She wakes up the next day. He's gone. Has blocked her on everything. Gone. There was a note left in the kitchen saying, someone will be over to gather all of my things.
Oh my God.
She called and called. Mind you, she's blocked, so she could never get through. She was able to get through to this mother-in-law, to which she goes, the divorce papers were drawn up months ago because I just had a feeling about you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't believe that son was so manipulated by his mother to just leave.
Yeah, and like when you go down on the Reddit story, they actually got a divorce, but like she kept doing like edits of like, update, this is what's happening. Eventually she was able to catch him as he was like walking out of work one day, and he goes, you're just so manipulative, and like you made me do a certain sex position to have a girl. Now we're having a girl. I don't want a girl. And it was a whole long Reddit story, and I know this is a huge side tangent, but like it just goes to show that it still lives on in some families that
I can't
like
believe that.
you have to have a boy.
No way in hell.
Yeah. But sorry, very long side story, but I just watched that literally last night.
Girls are so much cuter anyways.
They're
and they're
more
so much
enjoyable.
nicer to dress.
And they're fun. And I mean, there's drama with girls sometimes, but
well, that's when they get older.
I'd rather have a girl than a boy.
So you just send them away.
Yeah. You're going to boarding school this year, did you know?
Have fun. All right, so they were unable to give birth to a boy.
Gotcha.
It was shortly after these clinic visits that Frances found herself pregnant again and was delighted this time to discover that it was indeed a boy.
Okay.
Yet siring a boy did not seem to save their marriage. It was when Diana was still young that her parents got divorced. In the settlement, it was determined that Edward would gain full custody of all the children.
Shut up.
Yeah.
So the mom lost all rights to it.
Maybe she got like visitation on weekends, but for the most part, she was kind of cut out, and Diana and her siblings lived with Edward.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Especially because he doesn't even sound like he wanted the girls.
Well, because he was a Viscount, I think that he
had status.
They had status with him, so it was like, well, they'll be better off with you. So
did Diana not really know her mom all that well?
No, she knew her mom and like had a pretty good relationship, but when all this kind of hit the fan, is when it kind of got a little rough.
Aw.
Within the next few years, Edward moved on to marry Rain, the Countess of Dartmouth, or however you want to pronounce that. I always pronounce it Dartmouth. Dartmouth. We'll go Dartmouth. It sounds better. Diana had an extremely poor relationship with her, even describing her childhood as being very unstable and very unhappy. So with this new person her father married, it obviously wasn't the greatest relationship there.
Do you know how old Diana was when this new lady came into the picture?
I don't. I want to say she was like in early teens.
Okay, so still quite young.
Yeah, she was pretty young.
Okay.
As a kid, Diana had always been very soft-spoken, which even as she went into her princesshood, that was always said about her, that, she was super soft-spoken.
Yeah.
So she was super soft-spoken, kind, and that really kind of followed her into adulthood. She was also very fond of working with children. So later on in her life, after she went to college and that, she became a teacher's assistant at the Young England kindergarten school.
Okay.
So working with really young kids in kindergarten age. As Diana aged, she found herself in contact with Prince Charles. Not personally, but he was dating her sister in 1977.
Shut up.
So Prince Charles dated Diana's sister, one of her older ones. I didn't really look into which one.
Yeah.
But was dating one of her sisters in 1997.
Okay, I'm not a fan of Prince Charles.
No.
He gives me the ick. Don't like him.
He gives a lot of people the ick.
But like, now knowing that fact, he gives me even more of an ick.
The fact that you dated a sister and now you're going to come back for the other one, it's just kind of creepy.
Major ick.
That'd be like some guy coming and dating you, and then like a year later, it'd be all of a sudden like, hey, what's up? I'm dating the same guy.
I don't know.
That'd be gross. That'd be gross.
I didn't know that. Okay.
It kind of shocked me as I was going through.
It's upsetting.
Yeah. So 1997, he was dating her sister.
Okay.
It was not until 1980, so 3 years later, that Charles and Diana began their courtship.
Okay. So a chunk of time still. It was creepy.
3 years. I mean,
Do we know how long he dated the sister?
I don't. I can't imagine more than a year.
Well, he didn't seem like, when you look at his dating history,
he was kind of a casual dater.
Like, you're here for a little bit, then he moved on.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of whatever was convenient.
And there in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was a 3-year chunk later that Diana came into the picture.
Yes. With Charles being 13 years older, it was an odd pairing that created quite the controversy in the public eye.
I'm all for an age gap.
13 years is a lot, though.
At her age, it was.
Because she was, I want to say she was like 18.
She was
young.
She was very young. And like I said, I have no issue with an age gap. But when you are still like below 23. I would even say like 25.
I mean, at least it was a legal relationship, but still gross.
Yeah. That's a big gap. I mean, she's not even old enough to drink. Not here in
Over
America.
there she is.
Over there she is. But like here in America, if you're not old enough to drink, I can't. It's too young.
It's like if we're gonna go to a bar together, like, what are you gonna get? Like, juice box?
Am I supposed to take you to McDonald's? Like, what is this?
Creepy in the public eye.
Yes.
Within a couple of months of dating, Charles popped the question of marriage.
Holy shit.
It was like 2 months, and all of a sudden they were proposed or engaged.
Oh my, I knew it was quick, but I thought it was like half a year at
No,
least.
it was 2.5 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mind you, when he proposed with a $35,000 ring.
Holy shit.
There was diamonds, rubies, all kinds of crap.
I've seen
all
her ring.
over
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was that much money.
$35,000. And in today's money, it was probably a lot more.
I mean, I guess when you're the prince of a country, you're going to have money.
It don't matter.
Indisposable.
Well, literally, like, a jeweler would probably call him up and be like,
Yeah.
please use me, because then that's going to be really good.
Yeah. He probably got it for free. Let's be honest. They're probably like, here you go. Can you just talk about where you bought it?
Well, it kind of talked about it being like, it wasn't a family heirloom, but it was based off of a ring that was further back in their family history.
Because isn't it? It's a blue sapphire.
I think so.
Because I believe Kate Middleton either has a replica ring or she got Diana's ring. I don't remember, but I want to say they have a very similar one or it's the same one.
I can't imagine that they would give, what's her name?
It's
Prince Kate?
Kate Middleton?
Yeah.
Well, then
I can't imagine they would give her that ring because this ended in divorce, and that's like jinxing everything.
That's a fair point.
Maybe
I
they
know
took
that
the
it's
gem
modeled
out
after
of
then.
it.
Yeah.
But
I remember that was like the
imagine.
talk of like, oh my God, maybe it's modeled after Kate's ring.
There's no way that they
Yeah.
would give her the exact same ring because then that would like
Taint the marriage.
Yes.
I get it. Okay.
Diana was certainly feeling love in the air. However, I am not necessarily sure Prince Charles was.
Mm.
When a reporter asked if he was in love, he responded with whatever in love means.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, that's what he stated back.
Okay.
If I was Princess Diana, or if I was Diana, because she wasn't Princess Diana at that point, if I heard that, I would have been like,
I want out.
who am I with?
Yeah. That is like red flag number one. I mean, red flag number one was he's 13 years older and you're in your teenage years.
And he dated my sister.
And, 2 red flags. We're at red flag number 3 now of what is really being in love?
Yeah.
Red flag number 3. We should keep a tally of this because that's insane.
Yeah, we're on 3 now.
Ugh.
The couple went on to marry on July 29th, 1981 at St. Paul's Cathedral with 2,650 guests present.
Can you remind me, what year did they start dating?
They started dating in 1980. They married in 1981.
So within a year.
Well, I told you, they dated for 2 months
my
and then they were
God.
proposed and engaged.
That's insane. First of all, planning a wedding takes a year. But then
Well,
again, I guess you don't
They don't
any
have
of the
to
planning.
plan it.
Oh my God. So you're dating, engaged, and married within 365 days.
Probably. It was about that.
Ugh. Poor Diana.
That's overwhelming.
I feel bad for her.
Yeah, very soon after being married, Diana became overwhelmed by her royal duties.
Rightfully so.
And the increased media coverage of her life.
Ugh.
Which then only escalated after she delivered their 2 sons, William and Harry. I mean, while she was pregnant with William, it was said that Princess Di threw herself down the stairs at her Sandringham house in Norfolk because she felt so inadequate in her marriage to Charles.
Was she trying to kill herself?
I think she was trying to kill the baby, but I don't know. It
Oh,
didn't
okay.
necessarily
It didn't go into detail.
everything, but that was what was stated. I find it hard to believe that throwing yourself down the stairs is not going to kill you. So
No.
the fact that she was pregnant makes me think that she was trying to kill the baby,
Maybe.
but I don't know why she would do that.
Especially because she loved kids so much.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, okay, was she maybe trying to kill herself? And that was the only way she could think of doing it.
I'd go to the roof and jump off.
That's so sad.
That might be a little bit easier.
That's so sad.
William, though, he was unharmed during that act, so throwing
Okay.
herself down the stairs didn't affect the child at all.
Was she hurt? Did she break
There was
anything?
nothing stated that she got hurt when
Okay.
she threw herself down the stairs. It
She's
was just
probably
kind
like,
of like,
fuck.
what have I done? Now I have a big bruised arm, and he's going to ask me about it.
Oh,
I mean, I
Princess
can't
Di.
imagine he wouldn't have been in the house when she threw herself down the stairs.
Yeah, but then again, if he's not really in love, is he even at that house? Is he just off doing whatever he wants to do?
Yeah, you got no idea.
Because I'm sorry, he cheated. Was very evident in their marriage.
Yeah.
So where was he actually?
Mm-hmm. So she gave birth to William, and then 2 years later, Diana found herself pregnant again, and Charles had like he really wanted a girl.
Really?
Yeah. So he already had his heir.
Fair.
So he had William. When he found out that she was pregnant with the next child,
Yeah.
he really wanted it to be a girl. Was like hardcore hoping.
I would have never assumed that of him.
I wouldn't have thought that either. I thought he would have wanted like all boys.
Yeah, he just his personality, and he's very standoffish.
Yeah.
I would have assumed he would have been like, any girl in this family, not gonna happen. Like,
but maybe he wanted to be like a daddy's girl.
I mean, he just
gross.
he gives me the ick.
He gives me the major ick.
Vomit.
When Diana found out, so at one of her appointments, she
Mhm.
found out the sex of the baby and found out that she was having yet another son. She kept that information from him in hopes that they would remain close, because during her pregnancy with Harry, they
Yeah.
got like super close.
Oh.
Like intimacy level as well as just like personality wise.
So she was like, I don't
She
want
was
to
like,
lose
"Oh
this.
my god, we're doing really good right now. If I
Okay.
tell him it's a boy, he's gonna get pissed."
So they were really good through, is it William, the first one?
Harry,
Harry.
the second kid.
So were they close during the first pregnancy?
There wasn't really much out there. I think
Okay.
it was kind of like, "Oh, awesome, you're pregnant. You're having
Okay.
a boy. We have the heir."
But then she found out with the second one, he just gravitated towards her and was more affectionate.
They just said that during her second pregnancy with Harry,
Okay.
they were really close.
Okay. Well, she was probably like, I don't want to lose this.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on for dear life.
So she kept that information from him in hopes that they would remain close. However, when Di gave birth to Harry, Charles' first words were, "Oh God, it's a boy."
No.
Yeah.
That is so disheartening. Can you imagine being in that delivery room?
In her shoes.
I think I would just sit there and sob.
Well, she knew. She said it was at that moment she knew their relationship was over.
That is so devastating.
I mean, when your husband's first words are, "Oh God, it's a boy,"
Your heart must just break into a million pieces.
and you're going, "Well, crap, it's not like I had any say-so in what it was
Yeah.
going to be.
Oh,
I'm just here to deliver it."
that's so sad. But it's sad to know that she was sitting in that delivery room and she
Knowing.
knew in that moment, like,
Knowing.
we can't
and
save it.
She was literally just waiting for
Oh,
his reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any ever, not that I would know, is there any talk of them ever trying to have a third kid? Was that even conversation?
I think by that point, they were both so
Done.
checked out, it was like, yeah, we're not having sex again.
That is really sad.
I have a feeling it was pretty
Cold.
sterile for them for a while. They didn't do much of anything together.
Okay.
Over the next few years, both Diana and Charles had many infidelities, with him being with ex Camilla, and she also had her escapades elsewhere.
She did?
Oh yeah, they both cheated.
I knew he did.
No,
But-
she definitely cheated
Okay.
as well. It was on both sides.
Ugh.
And it became apparent to the media that they were essentially like miserable together. They didn't hide it very well at all.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I mean-
when you go back and look at stuff that was coming out during that time.
The press
Yeah.
in Britain was literally calling them the glums.
Shut up.
They were posting that they were the glums because they were so miserable together.
That is, pathetic and sad. But in the same breath, I'm like, I know that at that time it was like divorce was a huge voodoo. You don't do it. Like, no. But-
Especially if you're a part of the royal family.
Yeah. But I'm also like, don't stay in a marriage. One, if you're not going to put the effort in to try and make it work. Or two, you're just so unhappy and you just can't make it work.
Well, it's like, why do you want to live miserable the rest of your life?
I don't see a
I
point
mean,
in
I
that.
get it because like you're part of the royal family and they
Yeah.
have kids there at stake that are still young.
I am all for like, put everything into your marriage. And if you absolutely can't make it work, don't stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point?
It's like people that murder their spouse. I'm like, just get
Oh
a
my God.
divorce. It'd be so much
Just-
easier than planning a murder.
Just leave me. Please don't kill me.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was December of 1992 that Diana's separation from Charles was announced.
Okay.
So she separated from him. He did not separate from her. She was
Go
finally
girl.
like, I'm done.
Yeah.
With Charles rekindling his romantic relationship with his ex Camilla,
Can't stand her.
Yeah.
Not.
our queen as of now,
Nope. She will
Blech.
never be queen to me.
there was plenty of talk about that because all of
Yeah.
a sudden this gets announced and he just kind of, I don't want to say like jumps into the publicity of like, hey, I'm back
Yeah.
together with her, but like it was definitely there.
Ugh.
In a BBC interview, Diana stated, quote, "Well, there was 3 of us in the marriage, so it was a bit crowded," end quote.
I do remember seeing
I
that.
was like, you go, girl.
I'm
Way
like,
to throw that out there.
Way to go, Diana, because at that point, she was probably so sick of being cheated on. I mean, and granted, like you said, she had her own infidelities, which
Yeah.
shame on her.
But the
You
fact
shouldn't
that
cheat.
he like always went back to the same chick,
My thing is like, why didn't he
had
marry
to have
her?
been hurtful. Well, I don't think that the royal family necessarily liked her. I don't think Queen Elizabeth
Like
liked
Camilla?
her at all.
I mean, I'm not a fan.
I think that's why it was hardcore that you need to find somebody else.
Okay, and Diana was the face.
Yes.
Diana was gorgeous.
She's an icon. And I think that pissed him off to
Mm.
beat the band, that she was so popular.
My heart breaks for Diana because, like you said, there were 3 of us in that marriage.
Mm-hmm. And it was a little crowded.
I mean, That's just got to be devastating, especially because, like you said, she knew he kept going back to her.
Yeah.
And his heart was elsewhere.
I mean, from the beginning, what's love?
That's so sad. Right there, like I said, that would have been a red flag, and I'd been like, I can't marry this man. I can't.
It would have been tough.
Have you ever seen, I've never watched the full show, but that show on Netflix called The Crown?
Yeah.
I've seen so many of, like, snippets on TikTok, but the one where they're, like, standing in a bedroom, and obviously the affair had come out, and Diana was fully aware.
Okay.
And he turns to her and he goes, I love Camilla, and she's always held my heart, and you mean nothing to me.
Ouch.
I think, I don't even know if I'd cry. I think I would just be in such utter shock, and I'd be like, I'm done.
I would be like, I'm getting the boys, and I'm leaving.
Yeah, like, you win. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah. That would hurt. That would hurt beyond belief.
It would be devastating.
No, I've never, like, fully watched it. I always turn on an episode with great intentions, and then
It's a little slow. I've tried.
The first couple episodes, I'm like, I'm just not getting into this. And I think, and it's got, like, 9 seasons.
And they're like an hour-long episode.
And there's, like, 10 or 12 episodes a season.
And they're very detailed. Like, if you don't watch
you gotta watch it.
You miss stuff.
Yeah. And then you get to the next episode, and you're like, well, what the hell happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I tried to make that, like, my gym show. Like, I'll walk for an hour on the treadmill and watch this. And I'm like, I can't. It's a show that I really want to watch. It just isn't holding my attention right now.
Yeah.
Maybe
when this will make it hold your attention.
That or when I'm old and retired and have nothing else to do.
That's a long ways away.
It is a long, long ways.
That show will be dead by then. After her divorce was when Diana really started to thrive.
She was always thriving.
Well, true. I mean, she would step out in, like, the black revenge dress.
Oh,
get
my
it?
God.
Girl, you are a god.
She was serving looks in that dress.
And she knew what she was doing. I was like, you get it, bitch.
The second she stepped out of that car or the limo or whatever it was.
But I think, wasn't it, like, taken off of something that Camila had worn?
I want to say it was, like, a play off it. But then again, Camilla was never as pretty as Diana.
No. And Diana was, like, a natural beauty.
I don't like to, like, downgrade and downplay other people's looks. But Diana was always prettier.
When you are stepping into somebody else's marriage, you are putting yourself out there for criticism.
And scrutiny. You just are.
Then you should stay out of people's love life if you're going to be the other woman.
Yep. No, but I want to say it was a play off of one of her, like, iconic looks. And let's put it this way, Diana did it better.
Oh, 1,000%.
She stepped out and she knew in that moment, I have a role to play. I have to make this
as hard as possible. Mind you, it probably wasn't as hard for him because he's like, I don't love her anyways. But
the public ate it up.
Totally. So she started to thrive after she got divorced, even though she was thriving when she wasn't divorced. She dedicated her life to her boys as well as some charitable organizations that she held close to her heart. Because while she was princess, she really kind of enveloped herself after she became overwhelmed with her royal duties.
Yeah.
She kind of found her niche and focused on all of that to just stay alive.
Stay distracted, stay busy.
Yeah. I mean, because otherwise it would have just eaten her alive.
Some ways I'm surprised that she made it as far as she did. Just because if you're that overwhelmed that you're throwing yourself downstairs, how do you get out of bed in the morning and be like, I can do this?
Well, and then there was like this whole debate. I don't have it in my research, but as I was going through, there was this whole debate of like, well, do we strip her of her title and all of that? She still got to remain called like Princess Diana of Wales.
Yeah.
But like she got her, I don't want to say like security level, but she got something taken away from her where when she went to her family, she had to then bow to them. She had to bow to her boys.
Shut up.
Yeah. That, because it used to be like, okay, like they're equals with you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to bow to them. But then they like downgraded her. And mind you, the queen was totally fine allowing her to keep that. But it was Charles that came in and said, no, she doesn't get that anymore.
I think the queen liked Diana, though. It's a very unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
So many people go, oh, the queen hated Diana. And I'm like, really? Because have you seen the way she looked at Diana versus Camilla?
Well, I don't think anybody in the empire likes Camilla.
She just makes me throw up in my mouth.
Hence why he didn't marry her to begin with. He was obviously fooling around with her for how long before he actually met Diana and decided to marry her.
And talk about a dick move that, like, the queen is like, you know what? She can do that. But then he was like, nope, she will bow.
Yeah.
Like, you asshat.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Yeah. So that was, like, a huge thing. I was like, God, that's an asshole move.
Especially because, like, the queen is like, oh, it's fine.
Like, she can keep that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That makes me even more mad.
Diana,
red flag.
Diana remained extremely popular with the press, which obviously we knew. And she was still offered royal security.
Good.
However, she denied it, except for when she was traveling with her boys.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I would have done that
Well,
myself.
with how popular she was, I feel like I would have kept it for like a year or so,
I
and
would
then
have
been
kept
like,
it.
but I think she was kind of like a final F you. I don't need it. I'm out of
Just-
here.
Part of me is like safety. I mean, she was so popular, and like, don't tell me she didn't know she was popular.
Oh yeah, I mean, she faced it when she stepped outside because she
Yeah.
had paparazzi all over her.
I mean, and I get where you're like kind of like your final fu to Charles, but I'm also like your safety's huge. You have 2 young boys that
Well, that's
love
why
you a
when
lot.
she had 2 boys, she
Yeah.
always had them with her.
Ugh.
But when she was by herself or like out with a new love interest, she wasn't
Yeah.
gonna have like security hovering behind her.
And see, I'm the complete opposite. We live in a scary world.
Give me some security, snap, snap. Get
You're-
them around me.
If you're gonna offer me that, I'm not gonna carry my pepper spray anymore. I'll just let you follow me.
In terms of her love life,
Mhm.
she did date a few men after her separation.
Okay.
The first being with British Pakistani heart surgeon Hasnat,
Hasnat.
Hasnat, Hasnat Khan.
Okay. Very unique name.
Yeah.
We're totally butchering it probably.
Everyone thought that that was really her true love.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of him.
Yeah. They only dated, I want to say it was about like a year, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
Well, I think it was from 93 to 97. So it was a little bit, it was probably
Okay.
like 5-ish in that range.
And he worked on hearts every day.
I know.
He would take care of yours, Diana.
He's a heart fixer.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
here for that love story. I
Yep.
wish we could have watched it play out.
So that is who most people say that she thought was the love of her life.
When you did research, did you see pictures of them together? Did they look in love?
From what I saw, yeah.
Okay. So, like, she looked more comfortable than with Charles.
Oh God, yeah.
Because she stood next to Charles and she looked
always
like...
had
ugh.
like, I don't want to say it was a fake smile because at the moment it was probably very genuine, but you're under so much scrutiny when you're in that role.
Yeah.
So I feel like she didn't want to have a beaming smile because then they'd be like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
You're
look
too
at this."
happy.
Yeah.
'Kay.
They would totally jump on her for anything she did. So that relationship ended in 97.
Mhm.
She then began dating Egyptian film producer and playboy,
I did know this one.
Dodi Fayed.
Mm-hmm.
This relationship sparked controversy with the palace
I do remember
because
this.
many people did not approve of that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because it made the palace look bad because
yep,
of
because
who
she
he
was still Princess Diana,
Mm-hmm.
and because I mean, mind you, a film producer in that day and age was not necessarily a very good career, and then adding Playboy to the top of it
makes it worse.
it makes it even worse. It was with Dodi Fayed that she would undergo her demise.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's so sad.
While visiting Paris on August 31st, 1997, Diana, Fayed, and her driver were attempting to escape paparazzi and got into a car crash. Both Dodi and the driver were pronounced dead at the scene.
Mhm.
Diana initially survived, however, her injuries would take her life later at a Paris hospital. She was only 36 years old.
One, truly just heartbreaking and devastating. I love her. But the other...
Well, and the fact that she was gone so soon and it was so careless.
and you're 36.
yeah.
Like, one, you're
36
so young.
is so young nowadays.
And she had 2 young boys.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I want to throw in, and I don't remember where I heard it or whatever, apparently the rumor is that she was actually dead at the scene, but they didn't want to pronounce her dead on a city street, that they took her to a hospital.
Okay.
I don't know if there's truth to that.
Now, when I was doing research,
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff that didn't necessarily lead that.
Oh, okay. Like I said, I heard that somewhere.
I
and
mean,
I'm like, I don't
that
know.
might have, like, she didn't live long when she got to the hospital. So it's possible that it was like, let's just keep her heart beating to get her
Okay.
out of here, and then
Aw.
we can pronounce her dead elsewhere.
Did she go into any surgeries, or was she like she got there and there was no saving her?
They did like some electric pulses,
Okay.
and then she had a ruptured heart or a ruptured
Oh.
valve right next to her heart, so
God.
it wasn't.
She was
gonna-
gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're gonna start jumping into the theories.
I love this part.
Whoop whoop. There's quite a bit. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, mind you, there's not like super in detail stuff for each of them, but
Okay.
there's definitely quite a bit that we can kind of go into.
Let's go.
Was this fatal crash really all it seemed to be? There are many conspiracies that seem to think that there is more to the story that the royal family wants to keep hidden.
I would agree.
Prior to her death, Diana actually voiced that she was concerned that she may be killed.
Really?
Yeah. She gave her butler at the time, Paul Burrell, a letter where Diana wrote the following, quote, I am sitting here at my desk today in October, longing for someone to hug me and encourage me to keep strong and hold my head high. This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. Blank, they cut out whoever's name this is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injury in order to make the path clear for Charles to marry. End quote.
Sketchy as hell.
Yeah.
The-
Literally,
the
she
thing
wrote
is-
this and gave it to her butler at the time, and then all of a sudden, when she was pronounced dead,
Yeah.
he
Stepped
gave
out.
this to investigators.
Well, one, thank God for him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that got put
I
out
mean,
there.
it gives me goosebumps.
A little bit. But, okay, the blanked out name.
Yeah.
The thing is, there are so many people that could go there.
I know.
That's the upsetting
As
part.
I was going through this, I'm like, first you think it's Charles, then you think
it's the queen.
Yeah.
Like, it could literally
you
be
think
anyone.
it's like a security guard. You think there's so many options.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yes.
I never knew about the letter.
I didn't until I started doing this.
Ugh. I don't like that.
Yeah, so Diana already had an inkling of what was to come. She just didn't know when.
Okay, so this happened October.
October.
When did she die?
Do
Do you know the month?
Hold on, let me go find it. I want to say it was December.
Oh my God. So, like, within months.
Maybe it was August.
September's after August.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll get there.
Okay.
So just remember that she wrote that in October.
Okay. Well, that's so upsetting. Yeah. Okay.
The first theory is that both Diana and Dodi were murder victims. It was believed that Diana and Dodi were well on their way to announcing an engagement.
Oh, no.
And the British Security Service did not want that kind of information out. So instead, they decided to just remove the problem altogether by creating a car crash.
Okay, but honestly, that could be a very realistic theory.
Yep.
Because if the security had any insight on that relationship,
Boom.
they probably had
And
word from higher up.
The car crash happened in a tunnel.
I do remember that.
So it was pretty well confined that it's not like you could get aerial coverage of like what's happening. It was confined. It was hard to get to.
And mind you, when the crash happened, you know that tunnel is blocked off from both ends. No one's getting in there.
Yeah.
That looks really bad.
Yeah. So possibly announcing engagement, shut it down.
I could see it.
Not only were people suspicious of an engagement, but there was also talk that maybe Princess Diana was pregnant with Dodi's child.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, on top of an engagement, there's a possibility that she could be pregnant, and then the royal empire is like, holy crap, we need to cover up, we need to get rid of her, because if she has a child, not necessarily that it would be out of wedlock, because let's say they got engaged and got married, but she could potentially have a child out of wedlock that would, in a way, be considered royal.
Well, she's still princess.
Yeah.
So her child carry title?
That I don't know, because she's a female. Usually males pass it.
Okay.
I feel like in some way, though, they would be royal in, like, a stepsister kind of way.
I would assume, but even off of that, let's say she wasn't pregnant and she would have married this man, she would have had a kid. I just don't see the palace ever being okay with her having children outside of the marriage to Charles.
Yeah.
Like with any other man.
Well, especially with somebody that they hate. Like, there's no way in hell they would have let it happen.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Yeah. So, that's really kind of the first theory. Engaged, possibly pregnant, get rid of them.
It was taken care of.
Yep. Murder.
Wash the
Taken
hands
out.
of it.
Another theory is that Diana's driver, Henry Paul, was distracted by a flash of light when driving through the tunnel where they would ultimately crash.
Where is this flashlight coming from? Is there any theories on that?
Well, this tactic was actually used to do the same thing to sabotage Serbian leader. Oh God, this name's gonna be rough. Slobodan Milosevic.
Okay.
By flashing a light in a road tunnel to cause a fatal accident. So it had worked with him. It had already been proven that it could be done, and I don't know if it's like a flashlight they're flashing or it's like coming from a camera or what's happening, but it's a flash of light that they're claiming.
So it's been proven that this has worked.
Yeah,
so
it killed the Serbian leader.
So it is a very valid theory.
Yes.
Okay.
There's also interviews with an ex-British Special Air Services soldier who stated that Princess Di was murdered by members of the Special Forces unit using the flash of light technique. So there's
my
a
God.
Special Forces, an ex-Special Forces person that has come out and said, yeah, that happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So like confirmation kind of.
Well, I'm thinking it might be kind of a mixture of that plus a couple other things that we'll talk about.
All right.
So the flash of light, I think, might have been something they implemented just to kind of hopefully that'll aid in the other stuff we also have going on.
Okay.
Paparazzi were the first ones to be blamed.
Well, of course.
Because, mind you, when they were in Paris, the reason they were traveling was because they were trying to escape the paparazzi.
I do remember hearing that.
So they were chasing the car in the first place. It pushed them into the tunnel. Could this whole thing have been planned by who? Is kind of unsure.
Yeah.
But were they instructed to get them to go into the tunnel where the rest would then be dealt with?
All these theories sound like they're put together.
Yeah.
Like, instead of having multiple theories, it was
They
all
kind
one
of
big plan.
all clump. It's
One
like
big scheme.
multiple different workings are all coming together to make this ginormous plan.
And I would like to think that the queen wouldn't have been dirty enough to do something like this, but in the same breath, I could see the queen being dirty enough to do something like this.
You never know.
You just don't.
Because there are times where I'm like, oh, I think she might like Princess Di.
Yeah.
And then there's times where I'm like, oh my God, she looks like she's stabbing her with bullets through her eyes.
Yep. I would have to agree.
Yeah. So with them possibly pushing them into the tunnel, could the flash of light have then come from a camera? But then my thing is, okay, let's say it came from a camera. Where's
Yeah.
this picture?
Because I'm sorry, if that would have been the actual cause, that picture would have been everywhere.
But then who's behind the camera? Are they going to be charged?
Oh my God. Behind the camera, the queen would have had him killed. He would have been gone.
That's why probably if it was a camera, it was never out.
Because you know when this is all happening, the queen and them, oh, it's so tragic.
Yep.
Can you believe this happened? Yeah. I just don't buy that.
So by pushing them into the tunnel, it provided a great cover-up for the British government, spies, paparazzi, whatever it is that's doing this.
Very hidden.
Whoever's behind all of this, because it just so happens that on the night of the crash, none of the 14,
Yeah.
1-4
Okay.
CCTV cameras inside the tunnel, none of them were working. Not one.
Come on.
Not one.
There's 14 of them. Don't tell me that there is not camera footage anywhere recorded.
Well, none of them seemed to be working at the
No.
time they were traveling
Oh,
through the tunnel.
no. That was totally set up and planned. That is bullshit.
Pascal Polin was the camera room commander on the day of that crash.
Is he
So-
dead?
so
Because I would have been like, you're fired. You're going to jail.
No, he told, when investigators came to him, he told them that they attempted to locate the crash site on the cameras, but it was impossible.
Bullshit.
He went on to say, quote, "The screen showed only a blurred yellow light. We tried to manipulate the camera, that is, using the zoom to maneuver it, and it all was in vain.
Mm-mm.
We did not have control. By that I mean that another section must have been using the camera and manipulating it, but it could have also been due to them being out of order," end quote.
Okay, so one, the cameras were either taken over by the government,
Yep,
Or-
that's my theory.
or this guy was paid by the government to manipulate them himself. But my thing is,
that
like,
is possible too.
I feel like the government would have just done the dirty work themselves.
That's kind of what I would think, because why would they want a third person that could then
Yeah.
come and say, well, they told me to do this?
Yeah, like if you paid someone off, I
So-
don't care if you signed an NDA, you're going to speak out eventually and they can't risk that.
I'm thinking he was manning the cameras, and then all of a sudden this shit hits the fan, and he's like, oh shit, I better go check my cameras, and literally there's nothing. Of 14 cameras.
That is complete and utter crap. That it's going to be caught on one of 14 cameras. Don't tell me it's all gone.
That's what I'm saying. And he goes, literally, it was just all yellow, like blurred yellow light.
Of course it was.
Yeah, that one pissed me off because I was reading. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. There was 14 cameras and nothing caught it.
I don't buy that for a second.
Oh, I buy it, but I'm sure that the
Oh,
government manipulated it and said, shut these babies down. But
Yeah.
but don't shut them off, because then it's going to look suspicious. Just make it so that it's not really seeing anything.
Yeah. No.
Another conspiracy theory.
You've already sold me on the first one. We
The
can
murder?
we can just stop there. I already know what happened here.
Well, this really just adds on to what has already been said.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Another conspiracy theory is that Diana's driver, Henry Paul, had
Mhm.
something to do with the crash.
Please don't make him have something to do.
I know. Now, Henry Paul was a worker at the Ritz-Carlton,
Okay.
and he served as security chief there. The role of security chief, oddly enough, does not include chauffeuring people, especially high-profile people like Princess Diana, to and from the Ritz.
No.
So
No,
first
no,
off,
no.
why was he even driving the car?
Okay.
So he had no association with the crown in any way.
Okay.
He wasn't like a bodyguard, mind you, because she wasn't with her boys, so she didn't want royal security.
Yep.
So this was just some random guy at the Ritz that considered himself security officer, and he decided to chauffeur them. Now, Dodi supposedly had like I think he was pretty high up in the Ritz. I don't think he
Okay.
was owner, but he was definitely high up.
Mhm.
So I mean, maybe he was like, oh well, I know this guy, so I'll drive him.
The only thing that seems a bit weird with this is how is he going to be able to orchestrate a crash that did not kill him? Because he's dead.
Yeah.
So, like, part of me is like, okay,
He's all in, baby.
he was either all in, like, I know I'm probably not going to walk away from this, or he was really just being a genuine human being.
Yeah.
And he got killed in the crossfire.
So why is this guy in the car in the first place?
Yeah.
Not only that, but there are many other oddities about this guy.
Okay.
Paul, working at the Ritz,
Mm-hmm.
made about $30,000 a year.
That is not a lot.
No. Mind you, back in the day, it was 1900s.
Yeah, but for
Late
being high up,
1900s.
you would have thought it had been a little bit more.
Well, he was a security chief, so he's essentially like a glorified security guard.
Okay.
So $30,000, I think, is pretty good.
Okay.
However, when they started crawling up this guy's ass,
Yeah.
he had about $200,000 spread across 15 different bank accounts.
Oh.
Who has 15 different bank accounts?
That looks really
And
bad.
we're talking like different banks. It's not like it's at the same bank. They're everywhere.
So he was getting paid to do this.
Plus, he was carrying $1,500 cash at the time of the crash.
That looks bad.
He was always carrying like a huge ass wad of cash whenever he was anywhere.
That doesn't make any sense.
So like something sus with the guy.
Yeah, that things don't line up. But my thing is still I go back to even if he was paid off to do this, like how do you orchestrate a crash that doesn't possibly kill you or horribly injure you too? That's just the weird part.
And then my thing's like, because I didn't really look in like, does he have family that would have
Yeah.
inherited his money or anything
Yeah.
like that? But like, if you're planning on dying, then what's the money even to you?
That's the weird part to me, but part of me is
Unless
like,
he's trying
okay.
to be like a martyr and he's like, yeah, I killed her.
But then again, the other part could have been like, okay, was there never supposed to be a crash and there was a crash? Was he supposed to just get her into the tunnel and they would take care of her?
Maybe.
So like maybe there was never intent to even have a crash. Something
And then it
happened and then he died.
I mean, because looking at this, like, where's all that extra money coming from? It's still a
Yeah.
total mystery.
And why
we
do you-
have not figured it out.
Why do you have that many accounts?
That was the thing to me that I was like, that's kind of damning.
And the thing is, don't tell me that no one knows where it's coming from. The royal family knows what's going on because I'm sorry, they email or call or do whatever. They're getting any information they want.
Yep.
You know where that money came from. You know why he has 15 accounts. What the hell went on?
Yeah.
Don't hide that from me.
There were rumors that he was getting paid by intelligence contacts like the police or the CIA.
Okay.
Earlier in Paul's life,
Mhm.
he opened his own private detective business.
Of
So
course
he
he
was
did.
not unfamiliar with the law. Like he
He
used
knew what he
to
was doing.
sleuthing around
Okay.
and figuring shit out.
Very good word choice.
Thank you.
Sleuthing.
Ooh, scary.
I'm gonna use that word now.
While working at the Ritz, he often tipped off the police about hotel guests.
What an ass.
So he was kind of like the
A
narc of this place.
Mm-mm.
And conveniently enough, on the night of the crash between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m., mind you, the crash happened like early morning.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Like
know that.
maybe 12:30ish. I think it was at
Oh, so like midnight hour, kind of.
well, because it did it in military time. What is like 00.30? Is that 1:30? Is that 1? Is that 12:30?
Wait, say it one more time.
00.
Yep.
And then like the time dots,
Yep.
and then 30.
I think that's 12:30 a.m.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I believe so.
So that was the time they said that like the crash happened.
So that was late night, early morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the night of the crash between 7 p.m.
Mhm.
and 10 p.m., nobody could locate Henry Paul.
Well, Henry Paul, you're obviously guilty and you're in on something.
There were rumors in the tabloids that during that time, Paul was actually meeting with the DGSE, which is ultimately the equivalent to the CIA in America.
That doesn't line up.
However, the DGSE denied any knowledge of Paul.
Of course.
But an ex-DGSE officer, Richard Tomlinson, told investigators that he read a file that stated that in the 1990s, they were working with a French security officer at the Ritz. But there was no name attached to the file that stated who specifically they were working with. So
Well,
could
of
it have been
course.
Henry Paul?
100%.
Yeah.
You don't step out and confirm that and go, oh, he has no name. Really?
Well, he was just a guy that happened to read the file.
Okay.
He was just an ex-officer that happened to kind of get his eyes on it.
Okay.
And then he goes, there was no name there, but we can kind of fill in the blanks that
Yeah.
you can guess of who it probably was because Henry Paul was the main guy working there throughout the whole 1990s.
I think we have enough information here to just confirm what happened. We all know.
Like, we've sealed the deal. We know what's happening.
We've closed this case. It's no longer unsolved. We got it all.
So, aside from this background of Henry Paul, getting to the actual car ride,
Okay.
there was speculation that Henry Paul was drunk the night he drove the couple through the famous tunnel.
That's even better.
Yeah, French investigators said that Paul's blood alcohol level was 3 times over the legal limit to drive.
Sorry,
they,
I don't have words.
They came out to say that, like, oh, they weren't sure if the test we use actually was administered properly. It could have been that,
No.
it glitched in the system and blah, blah, blah. But, like, there are multiple things. They did the test multiple times and it always came up that way. But
Yeah.
they're like, the system was obviously glitching. So he was
Mm-mm.
probably not that drunk.
No.
Yeah.
Don't get me. If you did it multiple times and you had the same exact result, it's not the test glitched. It's that's what he was in his system.
Yeah.
No.
Now, Paul was not staggering or showing any signs of being intoxicated on the night of the crash, yet after the investigators talked with Paul's best friend, Claude Garrick, and he stated that Paul never really displayed any signs of intoxication, even when he'd consumed more alcohol than usual. So it was like a
Okay.
history that when he
He
was
could hide
drunk,
it.
he could hide it pretty well.
Okay.
He wasn't staggering, he wasn't slurring, he could like cover it up.
Okay, but in all honesty, because let's be honest, we all know he was in on this. It's so evident just based on some of the things that have been presented.
There was like, I don't necessarily talk about it here, but there was also the fact that he's with this DGSE.
Yeah.
There was conspiracies that he was like a spy.
I wouldn't doubt it. Paul seems to have a very wide resume. It's very full. If Paul was in on this, which clearly he was, wouldn't you have to be drunk? If I knew that I was in charge of getting Princess Di killed, I would have to be so shit-faced.
Plus, if he knew he was going to die, maybe that helped ease his mind.
Oh, fair point. Like if he knew going into this, like, I'm sacrificing it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that helped him with his decision. Because
Yeah.
if you're a spy, you're
You're in.
sacrificing your life is on the line.
Which I could never do that line of work.
I couldn't.
I love living too much, but
I mean, sometimes I feel like it's hell here, but you know, I can get through. If
Yeah.
somebody told me, hey, you're going to be a spy and you got to go die in a week, I'd be like, don't think that's my career choice.
yeah, pass. But no, I think I would have to be so intoxicated to know that like my life's ending or I'm ending someone else's.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So, I mean, was it because he was intoxicated that the crash happened, or did the flash from this paparazzi or supposed paparazzi distract him enough to slam into a wall in the tunnel and kill not only himself, but Dodi and Diana as well?
So
There's so much.
So many different ways this could go.
There's one more theory we have to look at.
Of course.
The last theory that we'll look at is Diana's medical care at the crash site.
I have many thoughts.
All right. After the crash in the tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
it took emergency vehicles 15 minutes to get there.
That
Mind
seems
you,
a bit off.
You're in Paris, so like I get it, the traffic's going to be tough. But when you get a call saying, hey, Princess Diana's car crashed in the tunnel.
I would deploy every single emergency vehicle from the entire city of Paris.
And like ambulances over there, it's not like ambulances in America.
Okay.
They don't rush to the hospital and get them life-saving care at the hospital. If they notice that they're traveling like normal speeds, they ain't speeding at all.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Okay.
They travel at normal speeds, and then like if the patient starts like collapsing or going into cardiac arrest or whatever, they'll pull over and like start caring to them. It's not like they're continue moving and care for them at the same time. They deal with it, and then they're like, all right, let's get back on the road. Yeah, it's crazy.
That is such bad care.
It is crazy to me, but that's how they do it over there.
If I ever travel over there, I hope I'm never hurt because that's terrible care.
Yeah. So 15 minutes to get there. Once at the site, both Dodi and Paul were declared as dead, and life-saving care started to be administered to Princess Diana. Diana was treated at the crash site for 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
40 minutes before the ambulance actually took off.
That is like taking the Queen of England and just being like, let's take our time. Let's do the best that we can.
That's kind of the thing where it's like, we're all these people in on it, where it's like, okay, let's slow down the care as much as we possibly can to hopefully make her die.
And okay, this leads me to a whole nother thought. She's in this tunnel. There's this accident. Who called it in?
That was part of the reason why they think it took the emergency vehicle so long to get there, because it was so confined that if you didn't drive through there and see it.
Was this not a busy tunnel?
I mean, it was, I guess, as busy as you want to call it as a tunnel. It's not like 50 cars are going through at the same time.
So it's not like a New York City.
No.
There's not a lot of traffic.
No.
Okay.
So like it might be a minute or two before somebody else comes through this tunnel and actually sees a car crash and then calls to report it.
But then I'm also sitting there and I'm like, was someone planned to like, oh, call it in this however long after? And like, who found it? Is there ever confirmation?
I didn't look into who called it.
Because I'm also like, okay, this just seems so weird to me. I feel like the people that found it were planned to find it, and this tunnel was closed off, and no one else was getting in to see anything.
Yeah,
it seems so weird, but sorry, keep going.
That's okay.
40 minutes, that would make me really mad.
40 minutes before the ambulance actually took off.
I would sue the ambulance company.
And then once en route to the hospital, they had police escorts.
Mm-hmm.
So they had people kind of there to hopefully make their travel go a little bit faster.
Okay.
But they insisted upon traveling under optimal conditions, which were speeds between 25 and 31 miles an hour.
That's not saving anyone.
But like I said, their emergency services over there are a little different than how we do it over here.
They suck. is what you're telling me.
Well-
Based on the information, they're horrible. If you have an emergency, you're likely going to die if you're over there.
Maybe. While en route, the doctor in the back with Diana asked the driver to stop multiple times so he could administer care.
No.
So they were stopped for probably another additional 10 or so minutes.
Oh my God.
Mind you, Diana could have been treated at Hotel Dieu, which is another hospital that the ambulance passed on the way to the hospital she eventually ended up at.
What reason?
Apparently, that was the hospital she needed to go to.
No.
I'm sorry, you go to the closest hospital and freaking get treated.
Okay, let's say, because like I said earlier in the podcast, I had heard that she was dead on the scene. Let's say that's not the case and she was still alive. You were waiting for her to die before she got to that hospital. You did not want her alive when she walked in there.
Well, she didn't walk in, she rolled in.
Based on the information you're giving me, 40 minutes at the crash site.
40 minutes at the crash site.
You're now driving.
Which was 4 miles away in Paris traffic.
Okay.
Traveling at 25 to 31 miles an hour.
I don't even give a shit about the Paris traffic or the fact that it was 4 miles away. You also stopped along the way multiple times to, give more care. Give care on the freaking move. Don't stop. But then you pass a hospital.
Yep.
Any hospital.
That was the huge thing of, these people planned to kill her because she didn't die in the crash. We are going to try and prolong her getting to life-saving care as much as we can.
Well, now I think the ambulance people are in on this. Because, I'm sorry, doctors take an oath. If they would have gotten her to a hospital, they would have done everything in their power to make sure she walks out with a beating heart.
Yeah.
If they would have gotten her there, she might be alive. That makes... they wanted her dead when she was rolling in.
Yeah. So the ambulance passed the valuable hospital on the way to a hospital they would eventually end up at, again, which was 4 miles away from the crash site. I could not find how close the other hotel was. I'm assuming it was kind of like a halfway point. So
it was
2 miles there.
It was probably right outside the tunnel.
But
she probably could have got up from the accident and walked herself there if she would have paid attention to where she was.
I don't think it was that close, but...
Oh, I'm so mad.
So this other hospital was definitely closer, and they chose to bypass it.
Because they're stupid, and they wanted to kill her.
Upon arrival at the hospital where she actually got life-saving care and it was attempted, they carried out cardiac massage, which I don't necessarily know exactly what that is.
I believe normally that's when they crack your chest and they massage with their physical hand.
Okay, so they carried out cardiac massage constantly as surgeons attempted to clamp a ruptured blood vessel near her heart.
Yeah, so they broke her chest open.
Okay.
They massaged the heart with their hand, probably while they were trying to save what you had just... I don't remember what you said.
After multiple electric shocks failed to revive Diana, medical staff then pronounced Princess Diana as dead.
I would have punched the ambulance driver in the face. I'd have been like, you fucking killed her.
He was just following what the doctor told him because the doctor would be like, you need to pull over because I got to administer care.
I'd punch the doctor in the face.
And he'd be like, okay, 5 minutes later, we're pulling out.
I am not a violent person, but there are a lot of people I hate and want to hit right now.
All right, so who is really to blame for Diana's death?
A lot of people.
The British Empire?
Yes.
Paparazzi?
Yes.
A flash of light?
Yes.
Her driver?
Yes.
Or the medical teams?
Them too. All of them. I think it was one big conspiracy.
I think it was a lot of inner working pieces.
It all comes back to who is the head, who orchestrated it.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to, Charles is a dick. I could see
But
Charles.
I don't think he's smart enough to be able to orchestrate something this large.
I feel like it's a lot, so he would have had to have help.
Yeah.
I don't think he could have done it alone, but
I hope that Queen Elizabeth was not in on this.
I would like to say the same,
but I feel like she may have had a hand in her demise.
Especially because she was always very, you are not going to make
our family look bad.
And if this man was going to make that family look bad.
Because the whole palace did not like Dodi.
So that makes me think that she might have had a hand in it, but she might not have been alone in it.
Yeah.
Because Charles did not care for her.
At all.
So I think Charles definitely had a hand in it. 100%. I will believe that to the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, like you said, he was not smart enough to do it alone.
No way.
He
needed some serious help. Hell, he probably couldn't even tie his own shoes.
All the inner working pieces, from the start of your theories to the last theory, they all sound like they could be intertwined. And
I thought they definitely could build upon each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the start at the hotel to
which is very unlike the other conspiracy theories I've looked into. Most don't build on each other, but this one, I could see all of these little things having a role, and this is the part you're gonna play, this is the part you're gonna play, this is the part you're gonna play, and we're all gonna be a part of this.
My only thing is okay, you bring all these people into it.
Someone's gonna talk.
Someone.
I would have thought.
Eventually, but then again, I'm like, okay.
Did they die?
Were they killed
Were
off?
they killed?
Like, eventually, like, over time, did these people they were knocked out one by one?
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to do research and find out, like,
a little bit more.
Yeah, who these people were. Because I'm sorry, the ambulance thing makes me really mad.
Yeah.
The fact,
I mean, that was one of the bigger ones of like, did the medical team actually kill her?
well, I just sit there and I'm like,
But
okay.
I think like, oh crap, the first 8 things we had planned didn't work,
Yes.
so now we got to be the final straw of making sure this
Mhm.
happens.
But I'm so used to like American medicine
Where it's like, bam, you're getting
we're
treated
not
in
wasting
a second.
time.
No.
Like the EMTs, they're working on you as they load you into the ambulance.
And like, you put the sirens on in the ambulance and people are moving out of your way.
yeah, they are
Whereas
gone.
over there, like, I feel like they're like, well, I'm driving here, so
It's a red light. I should probably stop.
I'm like, oh my God.
A lot of things don't line up here.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of inner working parts. I don't think any one of these theories was done alone.
No, like I said, I think it's a mixture of all of these coming together.
I think it was like a domino effect, and like they set up the pieces,
and they made sure each domino fell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this one was very upsetting.
So we will leave it there. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Did you like it? Is there a conspiracy theory you want to see us dive into? Like us on Facebook and Instagram at Conspiracy Podcast 1. And remember to tune in for next week's episode, which will be posted on Wednesday. Catch you later, guys.